obviously a tough bad up there, and then get upset and made to lose it right at the end.
Yeah. Is that a question?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Sorry.
I think in terms of the first half, I think we were maybe a little bit slow to start, and obviously as the game progressed, we were figuring out the best way of sort of sticking to the game plan out of possession. I think when we came out second half, we obviously then got to a position where we were utilising the ball more effectively, especially on transition, not necessarily as rushed as what we were in the first half. And Rico's goal's a superb finish as well, and I think she's done really well. As the game goes on, I think the challenge is that, you know, Amber's fouled on the edge of the box before the second goal, and when you've had quite a few things like 4 corners that have been given that should have been goal kicks, and it's difficult for players, you know, to manage that, especially when that sequence then happens at that point. And so, you know, people can talk about how you've got to pick yourself up as much as they want, but it actually accumulates into things that change kind of momentum, unfortunately. But massive credit to the players for everything that they've tried to do over the course of this year, and I think everybody's worked really hard. So it's disappointing to finish that way in the end today. But obviously the third goal goes in because we're trying to get, you know, the equaliser. We got a little bit stretched at that point. So yeah, but we've got to try at that point. So that's kind of where we were.
You speak about like picking yourself back up. Obviously, the opening goal, a bit of a mistake from Mackenzie Arnold, but she made a couple of good saves afterwards to bring herself back into the game. How strong a character has she got to be to obviously, after making that mistake, to then pick up and keep going?
Yeah, look, over the course of the season, the league will punish you if you make mistakes, and there's lots of different situations where we've created some challenges for ourselves over the course of the year, and that's been a part of the learning scenario really for us as a club, and it's cost us points in different situations. But ultimately, you know, these are players who work incredibly hard every single day, and obviously there's numerous, I could tell you about 50 different saves that she's made over the course of the season. You know, it is what it is, and I think that that's the same for all of them. We all live and learn by those situations, and she's a top senior pro, and you know, she knows how to pick herself back up, and a real kind of focus is making sure she does everything right for the team. So she's done everything she could after that point, and I think credit to the way that she performs as a professional week in, week out.
Yeah, it's obviously a fantastic stadium here, so it's about time that we get to play at London Stadium next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously the plan for the club, and that's something that we've talked about, so hopefully we're in a position to do that next year.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi Rehanne, just wondered what it's like being back here at Tottenham, and what have you made of the job that Robert Billingham has done at Spurs?
Look, I'm at West Ham, so the biggest thing for me is that where we are in our journey, that's the most important thing for me to talk about. We are evolving as a football club. We've done a lot of work behind the scenes and made sure that we've evolved things collectively with reorganising and restructuring things. We now have a great team behind the team, and we'll keep evolving our squad, and we'll come back stronger next year.
Thank you.
Rehanne, commiserations on the defeat. You talked there about evolving the club, obviously, as a whole. It's been a bit of a rollercoaster of a season, but there's also been some high notes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the stadium is now closed. The stadium is now closed. Please can all supporters make their way to the nearest available exit.
So you guys are stuck here for this then?
Obviously, that victory against Arsenal, there was a tough, close loss against Chelsea. There's been some high notes. How do you summarise the season as a whole across the board?
Yeah, I think, and I said that to the players actually. I was like, when you actually look back, we took points off Arsenal for the first time in the club's history. You know, we've got a point against Man United. We took Chelsea to the extra time, and both games against them actually were difficult. We made difficult for Chelsea.
Ladies and gentlemen, the stadium is now closed. The stadium is now closed. Please can all supporters make their way to the nearest available exit.
That's why Robert's press conference went on for a while, so he could put me in this, right? Yeah. I think over the course of the season, when you actually look at some of those real positives that we've had, the thing that we haven't been able to get right this year is just the consistency, week in, week out, and those types of performances. But the thing that I'm really pleased about, and I said to the players, is that we are capable of those, and once we get a little bit more depth in our squad, we can deliver that week in, week out, you then become much more competitive in this league, and that was always going to be part of the challenge for us this year. Whilst players are gaining experience and the squad was really young before Christmas, and we obviously added some senior players into that in the January window, and unfortunately, you know, Christy and Minnie have had injuries, and then Shalina was out of 3 games because of Tottenham and obviously Conti Cup, and then she's away at the Gold Cup, and ultimately we just needed a little bit more seniority, and I think they know that, we know that, and we'll evolve that going into next year, and that's some fairly straightforward fixes really within the squad, and we obviously want to build on that going into next year.
Again, you followed up my second question there. The January window, you brought in a lot of players and there was immediate results, you picked up points quite quickly. How important is this summer window for you, and are there any specific goals the club has?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the teams that have been successful in this league, how many years has it taken them to get their squad right? It does take time, and obviously it's important for us to keep adding value to the squad and improving the balance within it. I think contract lengths, things like that need to be managed. The seniority versus the young potential, we need to balance that out. And those have all been a part of the things that people don't necessarily talk about when they're just looking at results. But actually, that's a whole big piece that we need to kind of get right as a football club. And you know, like Matt at Liverpool, he's been doing that for a few years now, and if you look at the way that the squad's evolved, it's obviously helped him to be more successful this year, and that's something that we obviously need to get in place, and that will help us. So this window's really only my second proper window because of how late I came in August, so this one will help us to move things forward again for next year.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rehanne.
Thank you.